Hello everyone and welcome back to The Inside Edge, a podcast where we aim to bring you the insider knowledge from some of the best cricket talent around the world. Our third guest is Asa Tribe, professional cricketer for Glamorgan and Jersey. Asa, cheers for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Cam.
So obviously you grew up in Jersey. If I get this wrong, let me know. De La Salle College?
That's correct, yeah.
What were your first memories of cricket?
First memories of cricket would have been sort of school stuff, but my dad was always quite keen on getting me down. He played a lot of cricket and loves cricket really, so I would always head down and watch him play, and he would take me to the nets, and they were sort of my first recollections of cricket, and also a bit backyard cricket. That's always where it starts, isn't it? With my brother, some competitive games have been played in there for sure, and that would be my first sort of memories.
So obviously, I'm not too familiar about what the cricket's like in Jersey. So how many clubs are there? 2 clubs?
No, so there's in the top division there's four.
Four
main clubs, and then each division down there's one more team, so 5 in the second division and then 6 in the third.
Nice. And school cricket? Much school cricket?
I mean, there's a little bit. There's because obviously there's quite a small number of schools when you start getting to sixth form and secondary school. The amount of schools reduces, but look, it was always somewhat competitive between the top couple of schools, and I enjoyed my cricket during that. So
obviously you play for Jersey now, made your international debut and done relatively well for them. How did that come around? What's the process like for playing through the age groups for Jersey and then onto that men's first team?
Yeah, so there's a good structure in terms of it starting from under 11s, 13s, 15s and growing from there. But it's one thing about Jersey cricket is you have that ability to sort of see where your progression is. You can see the journey, you can see the way players have progressed in the setup, and the ability to play international cricket at such a young age and progress through that into your 30s is a great opportunity, and it's why we keep producing quite a good amount of talent.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, it's a great setup with plenty of schools having links to for the Jersey setup, and that's how I came through.
Yeah, so obviously kind of having that exposure from a young age is probably quite good for your experience. So through the age groups, what countries did you play against? Like, what was there? Was it all through the summer, or would you go away through the winter with the squad?
So mainly in age group cricket, it would have been summer cricket, and you get the opportunities to play in some tournaments like Ardingly, which is a school comp, and then also Bryanston, which is...
so you play schools as well?
Yeah, schools. Yeah. And then also you'd have the opportunity when it came about to play other countries. So obviously Ireland, Scotland, Netherlands, Denmark, Italy potentially, and sides like that. And then also we'd always have a rivalry with the Guernsey, which are a close island towards us.
Was that a big rivalry then for everyone on the island?
I mean, it was made to be a big rivalry, but Jersey obviously are stronger than them, so we would normally win that fixture.
Pretty convincingly. Yeah, so obviously you grew up in Jersey and then you've come over to Cardiff. What was the journey like there? Where did that come from?
So for a couple of reasons I chose Cardiff. I chose it because of the course I wanted to do. Performance analysis was something that I wanted to do before coming to uni, and it is still now, but obviously with cricket taken off, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
So that would have been the first reason. The course, a lot of the other courses at other universities, they seem to have a lot of coaching, and that wasn't something I necessarily wanted to do. And then the other opportunity was the scheme.
Yeah.
So the UCCE presenting quite a good opportunity to see where I could take my cricket, and professional cricket was where I wanted to go, and I thought UCCE cricket would be a great start to progress onwards.
And as you said it did. Obviously, getting awarded a contract for Glamorgan. How did that come around? So you did because you didn't probably play as much twos cricket as other people would have coming through the ranks, straight into getting given a contract. So what happened there?
Yeah, so before coming over to uni, I hadn't played a single twos game, and it was in the summer of 2023 that I'd done quite well for the scheme. I'd got my first 100, and I'd shown what I was capable of, and then it sort of went from there. I spoke to Clades about how I could get Mike Claydon's obviously the UCC coach, and I spoke to him about where I could get a twos fixture from. So he had a quick chat with Glamorgan, and Glamorgan gave me an opportunity in the T20s. And look, it didn't start very well at all. I got 2 off 8 and I got first baller the next day. So, look, it didn't go that well. But then I had the opportunity to play against the Mumbai Indians Reliance team, which, again, didn't get that much of an opportunity.
Was that for Glamorgan twos
that was
as well?
For twos, yeah. And look, I didn't really get any opportunity. I got a couple of not outs, but was batting right down the order. And then I spoke to Mike again, and he said, look, I said to him, how can I get another opportunity? I haven't heard much from them. And they said, I'll have a word. And he told them that Warwickshire were coming in for me, which was a blatant lie. But it got a bit of a reaction from Glamorgan, because they were like, okay, we need to have a look at this bloke.
He's at our doorstep.
They brought me in for the 4 days, and I got 160 in the first game, first innings, and then 49 in the second, and then it went from there. I finished the season off with a couple of hundreds and another 50, and was signed off the back of it.
So would you traditionally say that you're a red ball cricketer that can adapt to white ball?
Look, it's interesting that you say that, because coming through playing for Jersey, I've only ever played white ball cricket.
Yeah.
So to transition so comfortably, I would say, into the red ball stuff has been a dream, really.
Yeah.
But I would say that probably 50 over cricket and then longer formats on that are probably my strength, and T20 is probably where I need to grow my game the most.
So what I was going to say was, actually before that, was that you've been thrown into the twos games straight into a T20. Would you have rather that been a 4-day game to start you off? But obviously, if you haven't played any red ball cricket, then it's...
Look, yeah, I mean, look, it's worked out nicely for me, so I don't wish it went any other way. But look, who knows, if it had been the other way around, I might not be in the position I am today. So
yeah, no, exactly. So we'll touch quickly on your international career for Jersey. What was that like, making your debut for your country, and how did it go?
Yeah, I started a bit rocky. Started in the T20s. It was a trip to Spain and Desert Springs, and was sort of thrown in and had to adapt quickly, which I wasn't quite able to. I got a few low scores to start off that competition and didn't really excel, but it was actually progressing into the next tournament where I'd just come straight out of my A-levels, flew straight to Zimbabwe, and we had some warm-up fixtures there against Namibia, and got 70 off 40 or 50 balls, and then 60 off 30 in the next game. And that's where the coach really sort of saw the ability that I had, and I took that into the tournament in Zimbabwe and sort of have grown from there. So
yeah. So obviously I know you personally, and I know that you're quite a confident figure. Was it ever a doubt when you made that debut and maybe didn't do as well as you'd like to? And I know for Glamorgan you probably didn't start in the first team as you would have liked to. Was there ever a bit of imposter syndrome, thinking that I've kind of been put into this a little bit too quick, or did you always kind of know?
Is that in terms of the Jersey stuff or the Glamorgan stuff?
Both. So for both of those, did you ever feel like you weren't quite ready for the level?
Well, I think it's interesting, because when you're put in an environment that you want to always excel at, it's never great when you don't perform straight away. But I think it can be sometimes quite rare to go up the levels and perform straight away. Yeah. So I always had the self-belief that at some point I will be capable to perform at this level, and I've got to understand that sometimes it's not always going to be plain sailing. So yeah, at some point I probably would have felt a little bit like, am I good enough for this level at the moment? But I always had belief that I would be. Yeah, exactly. And as you said that, it sounds like you've had two very similar experiences in professional cricket with Jersey and with Glamorgan, maybe not starting as well as you would have liked to, and then you've gone on and done very well. So talk a little bit about that journey, well, even your debut for the Glamorgan and the first set of fixtures, and how you would compare those to, well, how you ended, which was so good. Yeah, I think, as I said, like, having the ability to sort of stay level is something that I've would say is quite key to how I've gone about it. I think performances will fluctuate, but having the ability to stay calm and level-headed and know that the preparation you've put in is good enough. You deserve to be there. Succeed, right? Yeah. So that's something that I try and always stick by, and just be like, okay, well, if I've prepared in the best way and it doesn't always go that way, well, that's okay. Failure is inevitable. Yeah. But as long as I'm giving myself the best chance to perform. So that would be what I'd say is my best, sort of one of my attributes to sort of allow me to perform. So starting off poor is obviously not ideal, but it's understandable. I can compute that in my own brain. But understanding that the performances can only go one way, and that's up.
Exactly. And especially, as you say, with that debut at Leicestershire, wasn't it? And then going to Sussex and places like that. And was it ever a thought in your mind, like, I just can't do it at this level yet? And then obviously going the next week and against a tough Yorkshire side, it's Fire Gardens, and doing so well in a game where no one else really was getting many runs, were they? And then was that a good feeling for you to obviously succeed? Yeah,
for sure. And look, I'd had a bit of a drought with the runs. Like, a pair at Sussex was never ideal. And look, I knew that I had backing from the coaches and the captain, and that was key. Grant laid it out to me how it was going to run for the rest of the year, and I knew the fixtures that I was going to play. So that filled me with a lot of confidence that he had backing in me, and he saw potential. And I remember him saying that one of the sides is going to pay, basically saying that you're gonna come good at some point here. So keep having that faith. And and against Yorkshire, like it was a tough attack. I had to bide my time. I faced a lot of balls, but like, I wasn't going to give my wicket away easily. They had to get me out, and sort of spent that time at the crease, and that's what I needed, really. I'd been feeling like I'd been not there for very long. I was in and out very quick. So having that time at the crease with that second innings against Yorkshire, don't get me wrong, I was getting quite a bit of abuse from Johnny beyond stumps, but sort of not letting that get to me, and sort of trusting my own game and trusting the process. We were in a bit of a situation where there wasn't a lot we could do except bat for time, bat long periods, and that's what I tried to do, and then took that into the Gloucester game and finished off the season quite nicely with back-to-back 50s. So
obviously being in that situation at Yorkshire where you guys were under the pump a little bit, was it for you just time under tension, just being out there for as long as possible, not worrying about the score and just kind of getting some time at the crease?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you've got wickets around you falling, you feel like you don't really have to do anything extra. You can just sort of wait for that bad ball and just bat time, really. So
that period, was there much of a break between the Sussex game and the Yorkshire game?
No, it was pretty quick.
Is that the way you wanted it to be?
I mean, I guess so, but the thing is, the county system's extremely chocker. So there's so much going on. You're going straight out of a T20 block into a 4-day and then back into a T20 block, and then you're into the 50 overs and the 4-day comes
chaos,
behind you. It happens very quickly, right?
Yeah.
So, you can... Well, it'd be nice if it was a bit more spaced out potentially, but then that gives you more time to think about certain areas which might not be beneficial, right? So if it happens quickly, you can just sort of like sweep that under the carpet and you're on to the next game.
So that, obviously, we kind of know, as you touched on there, about Johnny Bairstow kind of giving you some behind the stumps. Talk a little bit about that. So obviously you've come on a pair under a bit of pressure, yourself and the team. What's he said to you, and how's that gone? And he dropped you as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true. He said, he was just saying, let's get him on 3. We'll be on an Audi next innings and things like that. And saying that I was looking nowhere, my technique was junk. This sort of thing that sort of bit of fun and games, and that's all it is, really. Nothing too hurtful. But look, he'd been spraying me for my stats as well, which is clearly a 1-0 to me, the fact he's going and having a look at them. So
yeah, exactly. You take that.
I mean, who am I compared to him? I'm pretty much a nobody compared to him. So the fact he was having a look at those was... I mean, it's laughable, really.
Yeah.
Like he dropped me on 5, which was a nice
pretty
thing.
Regulation catch as well, wasn't it?
Fairly regulation, but he likes an excuse, Johnny. Like he dropped me, and then he goes, "Oh, I was too casual for that one," and then came past me at the end of the over and goes, he said, "I suppose you need a bit of luck when you're averaging 2 in first class cricket." And I didn't say it at the time, but I felt like, well, I can trust you to drop one, can't I, Johnny? But
felt like you're not old enough yet for that.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was in the right position to say stuff like that, especially as he was right in the sense that I wasn't averaging many. So I just sort of knuckled down for the next few hours and was there at the end of the day.
Right, well, hopefully he sees that and plays against you next season and has something to come back. But no, obviously that's for you, especially like performing in that game under that pressure and by being told by one of England's greatest players ever that you're no good. That's probably, it's a bit of a story for you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got massive respect for Johnny as well. Like he's obviously a class act, but yeah, the fact we were sort of able to have that sort of conflict on the pitch, but at the end of the game, he's gone to me and said, "Mate, great fight, well battered."
Yeah. So he took it off the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So different bloke on the field, which is great, and then off the pitch, sort of quite respectful and a good bloke. So yeah.
No,
we'll look back on that, and that'll be a bit of a fond memory for sure, and one to tell my kids maybe.
Tell his kids that he dropped Asa Tribe. Yeah. No, so obviously I've been at with university. We've done university together for the last few years, and I know that you love your course and you do get heavily involved in it. How have you found that balancing between getting everything done for university and being a professional cricketer as well? And I know that you go away with Jersey as well. So kind of managing those tours, your day-to-day life, university and professional cricket.
Yeah, it's been tough and it's required a lot of sort of hard work and planning and things like that. And look, I wouldn't dream to be in a different situation because I'm happy with the way my life is. I'm very busy and that's the way I like to be. So yeah, balancing it is tough. So it's required a lot of hard work behind the scenes. Yeah. Like especially, like I haven't been able to sort of socialise as much as I maybe would have liked to. That's whether I've got to train hard the next day or I've got to get a uni assignment due. Yeah. So yeah, that's been required, and seeing other lads having a great time. That's it's not the easiest, but look, I wouldn't dream of being in a different position. I love what I've got at the moment, and just grateful for that.
So I asked you before this about peer pressure, and kind of touching on that a little bit about university, the sort of like drinking culture that comes with university, and obviously just what it's like in Cardiff in general. And you said to me that you never really struggled, as it's your life, and if you want something, you go out and get it yourself. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think just coming through school and university, there's always going to be peer pressure around, but I felt like I've always had a direction and something I wanted to chase. And I think, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but one of the quotes that I love is sacrifice for what you want, otherwise what you want becomes a sacrifice. So if that means I've got to miss out on certain aspects of life because I want to achieve my main goal, then I'm happy to do that. And realistically, it is my life, so I'd rather look back on my life and go, well, I gave it what I wanted to do. I did what I wanted to do rather than trying to live for other people.
That wasn't second best to sort of habits that don't really need to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be something I'd massively regret in time if that's what I went down the path of.
Was that a switch for you from professional cricket, getting that contract, or has that been there for years?
I'd say it's certainly grown into me a little bit more as I've got a bit older. Yeah. Certainly leaving school and then progressing on from that. When sort of like the Jersey cricket started taking off, there's a few comments that actually flew around from a couple of the lads in the changing room. That actually got back to me. It was when I was out batting, and he was like, one of the lads. It was actually Julius. I think you know who he is. Yeah. He said, "Look, there's no way this bloke can't be a pro." And I was like, I actually thought about that, and I was like, probably should give this a proper go here.
You don't want to half go.
Yeah, exactly. And that, touching on that as well. Like I've always been someone who is 100% committed to something, or
zero, or
no intent to do anything or to do that. So so one of the lads touched on that as well, and I was like, well, I probably should give this a proper go. And then I remember having a conversation with the coach. This was back in Jersey, and he said, where do you want your cricket to go? This was before I came to uni. And he was like, I said to him, I want to play professional cricket. And he was like, okay, great. Right, let's give you the best opportunity to do that. Right, this is what we're going to do. The plan was in place. And that's where I started truly believing that this is what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And obviously, growing up in Jersey, you've stayed very loyal to them despite having a pro contract here. Is there anyone in Jersey where this is excluding family, like mentored you, and someone that you still go back to now for advice if you're ever struggling?
Yeah, I think one of the coaches was Neil McRae. He was a big part of my development, and I was quite lucky in the sense that he maybe had a core group that he would work very hard with. And
was that the lads that he thought could take it to the next level?
Yeah, and look, it was, don't get me wrong, it was very hard to get into that initial click at the moment, at the time. So that was tough, but once he sort of saw my potential and I was in there, and he gave me all the opportunities that I sort of needed to flourish.
And was he part of the Jersey setup on the international scale as well?
Yeah, so he just resigned last year, but he was in charge of the first team for the last 10 years.
So was it nice for you to have someone like that, obviously going and making your first team debut in Spain and then the other tours since? Was it nice to have someone like that kind of travelling with you and someone you can go to who's not necessarily playing, who you can talk to if there's ever any issues, and just kind of, just that support off the pitch?
Yeah, 100%. I remember there was one time where it was actually the ODIs that we were playing in Namibia, and the first couple of games, I think I got 4 and I got 3. Yeah. And I was having a bit of a tough time with the runs, and we just had a chat, and he was trying to work out how I was, because he was saying, look, you're hitting them so well in the nets, but when you're going into the game, you're just not transferring that. Yeah. And we just had a chat about it. I spoke about a couple of things. And then the next game, I went and got 100, and I thanked him when I came off and I was walking off the field, and I was like, do you know what, that just cleared my mind so much. Yeah. To just sort of relax and go, okay, right, this is my time now almost. Yeah.
So I've had very similar experiences to you. I've been in those situations where you're not getting many runs, and I will look towards the sports psychology side of it, and I'll speak to, obviously, someone you know very well, Steve Ryangold, and the company there. Are you ever working with them, or is that something that you believe in, the sort of looking at the mental side of the game, or are you just fully focused on what's going on the pitch?
So I've got a couple of things to say on that. I think I touched on it earlier. If my preparation is good, in terms of I'm happy with my setup, my technique, I've hit the balls in the morning, I've hit some throwdowns, I've had a net the day before, or along that kind of line, that's my preparation. My preparation's happy. And I'm confident in my own self-belief, because I always, before a game, I always think, I'm getting 100 today, or I'm getting 100 tomorrow.
So that manifests.
So I always try and that visualization. Yeah. And so that's my first part of it. So I don't feel like I need a sports psych to help me with that. Yeah, because
the self-belief's always there, isn't it? There's no self-doubt.
Exactly. And that if I have self-doubt, then I try and correct that. Yeah. It's inevitable that sometimes a bad thought might come in your head. Like, I don't think anyone's immune to that. But trying to be able to react to that and go, actually, all right, we'll cut that out and keep these strong positive thoughts coming in. So that would be my first thought on that. And then my second thought would be, I think they can be important for some people. Yeah. But for me, I quite like to keep it simple in the sense of, right, if my self-belief's there, then that's going to allow me to flourish. I think I like to keep it simple. Whereas I think sometimes when you need a sports psych or something like that, and I'm not saying that they're bad, but for me personally, I would say I don't like to overcomplicate it and dress up all my feelings and things like that. If I have an issue, I'll go and speak to someone about it, and then it will be solved.
It'll be gone.
It'll be gone.
Yeah. No, and obviously you've kind of said that just like sticking with the process a little bit. So, and it seems to me that you're more of a looking for potential issues. If you ever if something's going wrong, you'll look maybe for like a technical problem or something like that. Like you're a lot more scientific than maybe thinking, okay, there's something wrong with me mentally here going into a fixture?
Well, not 100% on that, because like if you're in a bad space in terms of runs, doesn't necessarily mean your technique's wrong. It could just be one of those times where you've had a bit of like poor luck or whatever. But I think in that stage, or if that period's not going quite as well as you want, still trying to have that core focus and that self-belief. That's what I'd say is what I'm underpinned by. Yeah,
so it's you're very different to the other two lads that I've had on before, because they've gone through the age groups of their county, they've grown up there, and then they've gone on to play for them. You're this lad that's come out of nowhere, come from Jersey to Cardiff and been given a contract. Did you ever feel sort of as if there was a bit of imposter syndrome in the dressing room, where walking in to a bunch of lads you probably didn't know very well at the time? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think that was like, it was good and bad situation, because that's the situation I wanted to be in, but at the same time I was a bit of a mouse in the room, because I didn't really say much, and sort of you've got like lads in there with 10, 15 years of county cricket experience in them.
Yeah, and then you got.
Don't think my opinion really matters too much, but yeah, in that sense. And certainly for the first few games when I wasn't scoring many runs, I was like, oh, what do the lads actually think of me?
Yeah, sort of worrying like, do they think I'm
more
rubbish?
That aspect, rather than the fact that I was thinking I'm not good enough. More the fact that I was like, well, what do the rest of the lads think? Not that even matters, because that doesn't matter.
Yeah, no,
right?
But it's obviously, it is in the back of your head, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so that was probably more of an aspect, but it's sort of that was probably the most I'd felt that.
So you've obviously seen the right side and the bad side of professional cricket. So the struggles that come with performance, as you've had both. Well, you've had both of them, haven't you? You've won the Royal London One Day Cup. You've had a pair at Sussex away. It's not been easy, has it? So what was the one piece of advice that you would give to cricketers trying to come through, young lads or girls that are trying to become professional cricketers?
I'd say best piece of advice would just work hard, and if you really want a goal, then just have some tunnel vision towards that. Yeah. Don't give it a half effort, because a half effort isn't going to get you anywhere.
No, exactly.
And always trust that you are going to be good enough. Don't let what other people say impact what you do. Unless it's someone really close to you, in the sense of you really value their opinion, and they have the best interest to you, work out who that person is and use them for advice.
Keep them close.
But if you have a set goal and someone's setting you back or pushing you in the opposite direction to that goal, then maybe that isn't the person you need to listen to advice of.
10 quick fire questions. You ready?
Yep.
Test match cricket or T20?
Test match.
Facing spin or facing pace?
Spin.
Batting first or chasing?
Batting first.
Ashes rivalry or India in a T20 series?
Ashes rivalry.
Cover drive or on drive?
On drive.
Home games or away days?
Home.
Taking a hat-trick or scoring 100?
Hat-trick.
Slip catch or diving outfield catch?
Outfield catch.
Not got in the slips just yet.
Do you know what? Those slip catches are the best, but you could catch an absolute dolly and everyone makes nothing about it, but it's still a gun catch.
Dressing room banter or intense game focus?
Dressing room bant.
Opening the batting or finishing the innings?
Opening the batting.
Thanks for coming on, Asa. Been a pleasure. Best of luck for the rest of the winter and the summer. Are you away at any point, or is it?
No, just knuckling down with uni at this stage, and then into the summer.
Making sure it's all done before the summer.
Perfect.
Cheers, Asa.